Little Eagles, it's Mrs. Mishler here. I posted a video working through a story called I Spy Insects. And in that story, we were introduced to 4 insects. And those 4 insects appear in this really great book of poems about insects and bugs called Cricket in the Thicket. It's one of our previous books of the month that Mr. Spangler shared with us. The author of this poem book is Carol Murray, and the illustrator, which, wow, look at these cool illustrations. The illustrator is Melissa Sweet. So let's take a look at some quick little poems. The first little poem is about ants. We know ants are really cool creatures. At the end of the poem, I'm going to share with you some really cool fun facts about ants. Here we go. Look at all those little ants climbing about on things. Go, ants, go. Working while the world is sleeping, tugging, lugging, running, creeping. 3 small letters, that is all. A-N-T. Together crawl. Ants are really fascinating insects, little eagles. They're very social creatures, and whenever you see them, you probably see a lot of them, not just one of them on their own. Ants like to live together in colonies. They're super strong. You may have seen animals carrying a leaf or a piece of food or something much bigger than them. They also breathe through their bodies, which is different than us. We breathe through our mouth into our lungs. They breathe from their bodies. And ants are great security guards. They do a wonderful job of protecting their colony. The colony is often led by a queen, and the queen assigns duties to the ants in the colony, and they all work together. They work together as a team, and I think they're one of the most fascinating insects. Another insect that we read about in our previous story is the bee. Let's take a look at the bee. Now, there are 2 really common bees in our area, the honeybee and the bumblebee. We're going to be reading about the bumblebee today. Bees have a really important job, and without bees, I'm not sure that our life would go on for very long. They pollinate crops and flowers, which help us to sustain our food and help our plants and crops to grow. They have a vitally important job. So please, when you see bees, just walk away from them. Don't disturb them. They're doing a really important job. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. Let's hear the poem. Here's our bumblebee. Trees and knees and bumblebees. Rumble, rumble, bumblebee. Don't you know you're bugging me? You're buzzing in the climbing tree. May make me tumble, bumblebee. Stop that rumble, bumblebee. Perhaps I'll stumble as I flee. I'll crash and crumble, skin my knee. And then I'll grumble, bumblebee. So sometimes bees come in our way when we're doing things. In this little poem, it sounds like a little boy or a little girl is climbing in a tree and there's a bumblebee nearby. So bumblebees can be a little scary. Honeybees too. Any kind of bee can be a little bit scary because they sting. So it's really important just not to disturb them. Let them go about their business. And here is the important job that bumblebees and in particular honeybees do. Honeybees make honey, and the younger bees are taught by the more experienced bees. And just like your teachers and your parents teach you, the older bees in the nest teach the younger ones. A honeybee visits between 50 and 100 flowers during a time of collection, which is a lot in one day, I think. And in order to produce 1 pound of honey, 2 million flowers must be visited. 2 million, that's a big number. That's a lot of flowers to visit. So bees have a very important job, in particular the honeybee, because they make honey. But bees, like the bumblebee, also do the biggest job of all, pollinate. They help our plants and our crops grow, and that's where our food comes from. Now, our next insect is the monarch, and I know that most of you will know a lot about the monarch. I bet some of you have raised monarchs in your classroom. I have in my classroom. We're going to hear two poems. The first is Milkweed for Monarch. Here's the monarch caterpillar, and he's eating his favorite plant, the milkweed plant. I'm very, very smart and rather lucky, I would say. My diet is the milkweed plant. I eat it every day. Most usually I'm hidden when attackers choose to dine, and birds don't like my milkweed taste. How very, very fine. So birds often eat caterpillars, but they leave the monarch caterpillar alone. So that's good, so they can finish the process of their life, their metamorphosis. Remember, it's hard to imagine that this caterpillar would turn into a big and beautiful butterfly, but they do, and it's fascinating. Do you remember the stages of a monarch's life? Remember, monarchs start out as an egg. They often lay on a leaf until they hatch out and grow into a monarch caterpillar. And then the monarch caterpillar climbs into the chrysalis, where the metamorphosis begins. And it's really, really interesting how the caterpillar can go into the chrysalis like this, looking this way, and come out looking this way. Now we know monarchs, whenever they come out of their chrysalis, they need to dry their wings off for a little while, and then they're ready to fly. And we know where they fly. They fly to Mexico, where it's nice and warm. Monarchs like warm weather. Here comes our next poem, Monarch and Friends. The monarch likes to travel in the company of others. To Mexico, she drifts and glides with moms and dads and brothers. So they like to fly in big groups and head south. Now the monarchs will be returning to our area now that it's getting a little warmer outside. They return in spring, so you may be seeing them in your yard soon. So take a look outside, see if you can find the orange and black monarchs flying around. And our last insect is the grasshopper. Grasshoppers are really interesting insects too. So let's hear a little bit about them. Here they are. The grasshopper, grasshopper green. Grasshopper green is a munching machine. He is built with precision and flair. His hind legs are long and exceedingly strong, like two springs as he zings through the air. For wings, let him fly, let him zip through the sky. He has jaws that are perfect for crunching. With ears near his knees and 5 eyes sure to please, he spends most of his time simply munching. You will see grasshoppers in your yard jumping around very soon. And here are some fun facts about grasshoppers. Grasshoppers make noises, and those noises come from them rubbing their back legs together against their body and their wings. They make a really distinct and interesting sound. Grasshoppers can jump really far. They can jump 10 inches into the air. That's almost a foot, 10 inches high. And they can jump 39 inches in length, which is about as big as your body. So that's really neat. And they have 2 antennas. They have 6 legs, which make them an insect. We remember that insects have 6 legs. And they have 2 pairs of wings and 2 small little pinchers that help them to pinch the food so they can eat. And they like to eat grass, leaves, and some other crops. So they have little pinchers, but don't worry, I've never been pinched by a grasshopper, and I've helped lots of them. So little eagles, I hope you get to have some fun time outside and take a look around for all the little insects that are out and about. There are lots of them, and they are fascinating. But please do me a big favor. If you see an insect, don't stomp on it. Don't squish it. Insects are important, and they all have very, very important jobs to do. So the next time you see them, inspect them, check them out, look them over, have some fun, watch them. But please, please don't hurt them. They're little living creatures, and we need them. So I hope you enjoyed this book of poems. There are a lot more insects in this book, and it's one for everybody to have in their collection. And one other thing that I'd like to mention, my house, we really like this movie, A Bug's Life, and there are lots of little insects that are highlighted and talked about in this movie. So check it out. It's a fun little one. And also the Bee movie is also a really good movie to check out too. You'll learn an awful lot about bees in that movie. So until the next time we see each other, little eagles, know we're missing you, and see you again soon.